Well, I'm Chris, and this is my getting your 5th scale gas RC car to run for the first time if you're having issues video. So this is brand new. I did an unboxing last night. It was getting dark, mosquitoes were in here, and I flooded it real bad. I was just going over the instruction manual, which said to fill the gas tank, prime your bulb until it's full of gas, and then push it 3 more times. That flooded this thing out. Tried to mess with it for about 5-10 minutes, and I just gave up on it for the night. So we left off in the video pulling the spark plug out so it'll air out, and opening the choke. We have the air filter out of it, and then pushing the throttle open so it'll air out. It usually takes about 30 minutes to do that. So this right here has the WALBRO carburetor already on it. So the first thing I do, run that high-speed one all the way closed. We don't need it right now. We're working on the idle circuit. And we run this one closed and count the turns in half turns that it was. This one was 1 1/4 turns out. So half, 1, 1 1/4. That is where you want to start on it. 1 1/2 turns, we'll run them super rich. We'll show you that here in a second. Okay, this WALBRO 990, we don't have a choke, so we have to dial in this procedure. So you're just looking for that. When it starts to move, that's your 0. So I would go ahead and try to round that line off where it's up and down, left and right. So that's our 0. So this one does not have any holes in it. So at 0, we're completely closed. So we have to crack this open some type of amount to get some oxygen in there so this thing will run. So now we know where we are. We give it a 1/2 turn. You see, it doesn't really crack this one that much open. 1 turn, 1 1/2 turns, 2 turns, 2 1/2, 3 turns, 3 1/2, 4 turns. And you see now we're starting to see some light through there. So this one, I actually had to turn it 2 1/2 turns from 0 to get it to start. Anything less than 2 1/2 turns, it was not open enough to give it enough air, and it wouldn't do nothing. So you're just going to sit there and be pulling it for the rest of your life if you don't pay attention to cracking your throttle at first. The book will tell you to use your throttle trim and go ahead and put some on like that. That can work if you have a choke on it, but on this 990 we don't have a choke. So we're back at 0, and remember, 1, 2 1/2. So that's the minimum. This one has to be cracked to start up. So I went ahead and give it another 1/2 or even another full turn. We'll just give it a 1/2. So we're at 3 turns. You can see how we're cracked open a little bit, and that's the lowest amount of air or the lowest idle we can get. That car that you get in to go to work or wherever, what if you started that car up and it goes up to 2,500? That's the same thing that happens on these RC cars, that people idle them too high. And the one that I was going to buy used, the dumbass had his so out of whack that it was violently shaking and loosening all this pipe off. This car was idling like that. And I told him that that thing was messed up, had a messed up tune on it. He got all pissed off at me. So don't be that guy with your car running like that. That's not right. And it's called a tune for a reason. You can't just set all these up the same, but I'm pretty sure that's what they do when they're brand new, because they cannot ship this with fuel in it. When you buy these at the RC shop, then you're going to pay them to put an initial tune on it. You know, that's what I'm trying to show you right here, how to do that yourself. But you see, I've already had to take stuff off. We have to take this off. That's what they're charging you for. If you don't feel comfortable messing with it, take it to them, and they're just going to do what I'm doing right now. Because there's some old man working there with glasses on doesn't mean that he knows what he's doing. Because evidently that guy had taken this one to a redcat dealer, and I started laughing because I said, that dude doesn't know shit about redcats, and that's when he got pissed and wanted to fight me. But I know the RC shop he was talking about, and that guy doesn't know shit about these. He does not. He doesn't even have any. He likes the redcat electrics. Remember, our high speed is closed all the way. For right now, we don't need it. And we went 1 1/4 turns out on the low speed. We're not showing high speed in this video, but it's the same thing. Once you get your thing running, like you'll see in this video, we go 1/2, 1, 1 1/4, the same exact thing. So I had to find 0, and yes, it was a biatch on this thing. I spent about an hour. It's really hard with all these bars, but this one, its sweet spot is completely different. We had 2 1/2 turns, 3 to crack it. This one right here is 1/2 turn from 0. So to be on the super safe side, we're at 1/2 turn from 0. Let's go ahead and go 1. Okay, so that means that this one could have a little hole in it, or it could be curved or something. but I'm trying to show you that none of these are tuned the same. They're all unique. So since I was so worried about flooding this thing, both of those, the high speed and low speed, are both closed. We have our throttle butterfly opened up a full turn past 0. If you're worried about flooding it again, get you some starting fluids, open the choke, open the throttle, 1 second burst in there, and then immediately try to start it with the choke closed, and it should bump. You just want fuel in this bulb. It does not have to be completely full. Just get it from empty to at least like that, and that means you are priming these systems. It's got 2 little fuel pump flappers in there that work real freaking good, and they're very, very sensitive. Brace the starter fluid. Everything's open. Close the choke. I just want to hear it bump. Okay. So once you get it to bump, remember this doesn't have any oil in it, so don't try to run it with this. Spray this in there, and once you get it to bump, we have the choke closed on it. Leave the choke closed on it. Now you're going to go ahead and open up that low speed 1 1/4 turns out. All right, now this thing should start up. Okay. All right, there it goes. Oh, the choke's closed. Okay. See how good it's starting? There we go. You're gonna need to invest in some earplugs. This thing is super loud. Starting it from scratch procedure works every single time. I had to do it to my other 2. So that's teaching you where to start over in case you just go crazy with the settings and you get lost, because you can. We were half a turn out to get it to start. Now we can play with lowering our idle before it dies and finding out that sweet spot. On this one, it is a half a turn out. We're 1 turn out, so we're gonna go ahead and lower it down half a turn. It's better to do it when it's running. Did you lower that idle? That's too low. Too low. That's low healthy. See what we're doing? We're tuning the low speed or idle circuit. And the main concern is getting this thing started with the minimum amount of pulls. Now, what I learned from Eastside RC, and I want to thank you, since this is a brand new one, we have to do the engine break-in on it. So we want this thing to run super rich. So at a turn and a quarter out on the low speed, we're good. Enriching it past this point is going to give it that choppy idle. 1 1/4 and 1 1/2 turns, you want to kind of be somewhere in there for a rich tune and a low idle. So let's go ahead and do that. That's 1 1/2. Go, man. I went from something I couldn't start up to something that now I know where to go back every time to get it started. So this is just initial starting tune for low speed. When we get this thing out there running, things might change. The weather's going to get cold. We might have to adjust things. So whenever I shut these things off, I don't drain the gas tanks or fuel tanks. But what I do is I will turn this one full turn in to crack that throttle a little bit more, so that next time I try to start it, it starts up a lot easier, because it can be difficult getting them to start with your low idle like that. So I guess that's why these shops have to put that high idle tune. It really bothers me when I see one of these running too fast. All right, so we ran the idle up one full turn, and then next time we try to start this cold, it's gonna fire right up, I promise you. Okay, so let's just show it on this one. This one's been started yesterday. I don't prime them, I just choke them, and let's see this one start right up. Just like on that one, I screwed it one turn in, so it's gonna idle fast. So the Chimera pipe does sound different than the cat box. I think these sound better, but whatever you have is great. I found the original pipe for this for $15 on eBay, so we're gonna put the original pipe back on it. We get our screwdriver ready, and remember, only prime it if this bulb is empty, and you're going to see it 2-3 times. It'll start to fill it up. Once it fills it up the best, then stop. The instructions tell you to fill it and then do 3 additional pumps. Do not do that. That flooded my Chimera instantly. Now we open the choke. So I've had that thing sit there for a week, that same exact starting procedure, and it starts up every time. I like doing it this way at first, but you will eventually figure out how far to run your throttle trim out to give it that half or one turn to start. But you really do need to understand this first and then try to open that up to start. I'm telling you right now, because once we put all this back together, we can't be coming in here doing all that stuff. So now we can go ahead and put this thing back together, and we're going to be running it hopefully tomorrow or next few days. It might rain tomorrow. So let me get this thing back together real quick. So it's all back together. Future video coming as soon as possible running this thing. If you enjoy it, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.